We're now under a first alert severe weather day. This is going to continue into your Friday and maybe into the weekend as we're tracking the possibility of tropical moisture into the area. I'll have the very latest for you.
A storm leaves behind a mess in Anderson County tonight. We'll hear from a man who says he had to run for cover when a roof blew off a nearby church. Coming together tonight to pray for peace. How members of a Lexington church honored the victims of the South Carolina church shooting.
Tracking, alerting, protecting. WKYT News starts now with First Alert Weather.
Good evening and thanks for watching tonight. Some rough weather across the bluegrass this evening as a round of severe storms caused damage. And a WKYT First Alert Severe Weather Day continues. This eyewitness picture is showing some damage in Anderson County. We'll have more on that in just a minute. But first, meteorologist Jim Caldwell is tracking the threat for storms and heavy rain. He begins our team coverage. Jim?
And I think as we head through the next few days here, Sam, we'll be talking more and more about the possibility of plain old heavy rain being a big-time issue. We had some out there today, sparked a flash flood warning, but for the long duration here, we might be talking about 2-4 inches of rainfall, maybe higher amounts in some isolated areas, so that is naturally going to cause some issues. Defender calming down quite a bit out there, at least for the next several hours. Tomorrow morning, we might wake up with more showers and thunderstorms in the area. One of those odd scenarios where we break out into at least a few scattered showers and storms in parts of our area during the morning hours because we just have enough energy out there to fire some of those off. What we're looking at here are some of the rainfall estimates from earlier today for northern parts of Fayette County, out into Bourbon County, and you can see the other areas here, Scott and Harrison County, where you have better than almost 2.5 inches. Closer to 3 for the folks there in Georgetown, closing in on 2.5. This was just from today's rainfall. That's not factoring in a 24-hour total. This is a very short window of where we were seeing some of that very heavy rain. So we likely break out into that again as we head into the day tomorrow. Out there now on Defender, we are tracking those showers leaving the area, but it's this big push of moisture that's going to be rolling in here from Bill that's going to be our tropical troublemaker as we move forward. Just a couple of thoughts. The remnants of Bill arrive here tomorrow night, it looks like. Isolated thunderstorms will develop again during the day tomorrow. Some of those have potential to be strong, and as I mentioned, 2 to 4 inches possible by early on Sunday morning. We will take a closer look and track it all hour by hour coming up in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Jim. A severe storm damaged buildings and knocked down trees when it moved through Anderson County tonight. In Lawrenceburg, strong winds ripped off part of a church roof. No one was hurt, but the storm caused some frightening moments. Garrett Weimer talked to someone who had a close call. He continues our First Alert Weather Team coverage.
The storm came quickly here in Anderson County.
I did not know that anything was happening until it was right there. And all I could do was just duck.
So he did.
That was all I could do. See something? This is where we were.
Tommy Wise says he was getting his 9-month-old grandson out of the car.
All of a sudden, out of the corner of my eye, I noticed that sheet metal was coming around the building, along with pieces of tree.
That sheet metal was coming from next door, the roof of the Abundant Life Christian Center. Folks here say all in all, the worst of it lasted only about 20 or 25 seconds. But as you can see, that was plenty long enough to cause a lot of damage. Pieces of roof and tree wound up all over the place, even damaging some of the cars here at Kentucky Transmissions, including the one that was Wise's shield.
I'm a little shaken, but I'm very grateful that I'm doing okay. Grandson is doing the same. The only thing I can say is I'm blessed that higher power was watching over me.
In Anderson County, Garrett Weimer, WKYT.
Now, they were lucky. Strong winds from a storm this afternoon caused some tense moments over in Jessamine County. That storm bent part of the awning over the gas pumps at the Speedway on Main Street in Nicholasville, and in a nearby neighborhood, some large trees fell, causing a mess.
It took out a tree and there were limbs all over the yard. It was pretty loud, but it didn't last long.
Emergency managers say the storm also knocked out power to people living in that area. No injuries were reported. Investigators think that wet roads played a role in a crash that injured 6 people, including some children, in Scott County. It happened this afternoon in the northbound lanes of Interstate 75 near the Sadieville exit. Police say the driver of a minivan hydroplaned, causing the vehicle to run off the road and hit a tree. Police say that 2 of the people injured are now in critical condition at UK Hospital. They say wet roads also caused some other crashes in the same area. Storms also forcing a United Airlines jet to make an emergency landing in Lexington this afternoon. Bluegrass Airport leaders say the plane was heading from Denver to Louisville, but it had to circle around Louisville because of storms there. Once the plane started running low on fuel, the pilots decided to land here in Lexington. So airport leaders say the plane refueled and flew to Louisville once these storms passed on. Some of you have been sending us eyewitness pictures of storm damage tonight. Michael said that strong winds brought down trees in a Morgan County neighborhood. We'd like to see your pictures as well. Just look for the eyewitness section of WKYT.com or post them to our Facebook page. Tonight, the man accused of killing 9 people inside a church is back in South Carolina to face murder charges. Police arrested 21-year-old Dylan Roof late this morning in neighboring North Carolina. Last night, they say he opened fire in a church in Charleston. As police try to figure out what led up to the massacre, we're learning more about those killed. Marley Hall has the latest.
21-year-old Dylan Roof is behind bars in Charleston, accused of killing 9 people at the Emmanuel AME Church. He was flown back Thursday afternoon, hours after police apprehended him during a traffic stop near Shelby, North Carolina.
I was directly behind him at a stoplight. And everything going through my mind was like, what ifs? But the only thing I could still see was those people in Charleston in those prayer circles with their hands gathered around praying that prayer would be answered.
Investigators say Roof walked into the predominantly black church Wednesday night. Eyewitnesses say he spent an hour at a Bible study meeting before he leapt out of his chair, started shooting, and exclaimed he was there to kill black people. Mourners are stopping by this growing memorial outside the church to pay their respects. The victims ranged in age from 26 to 87. Patricia Ham babysat her cousin Clementa Pinckney long before he became the pastor of the church and a state senator.
He loved to read. He wasn't the type that always wanted to go out to play.
Cynthia Hurd was a librarian.
Her being the oldest girl, she kind of pulled the family together.
Recent college graduate Tywanza Sanders was the youngest victim. Sharonda Coleman Singleton was a high school track coach. DePayne Middleton Doctor and Daniel Simmons Sr. were reverends. Myra Thompson and grandmas Ethel Lance and Susie Jackson were also killed. The Justice Department is investigating the shooting as a hate crime. Marley Hall, CBS News, Charleston, South Carolina.
Now back here in Kentucky, many people have been praying for the victims and their families. Members of AME churches in Lexington say the tragedy hits too close to home. Tonight, St. Paul AME Church hosted a prayer vigil and invited the community to pay tribute to the people killed in that shooting. Monique Blair has the story new at 11.
Clementa Pinckney, Cynthia Hurd, Sharonda Coleman Singleton.
On Wednesday night, 9 people were shot and killed.
Tywanza Sanders, Ethel Lance, Susie Jackson, DePayne Middleton Doctor, Myra Thompson, and Daniel Simmons Sr.
They were each shot while in their church Bible study.
A congregation that held its doors open for the stranger has been betrayed.
Hundreds of miles from the scene of the tragic crime, here at the historic St. Paul AME Church, dozens of people gathered to remember and mourn the loss of 9 lives.
And as we stand across this connection on this day, don't let this be the only time that we stand together.
After prayers were said for the victims, the families, the city of Charleston, the Emmanuel Society, a prayer was said for the suspected gunman.
We know that even with all the evil that he's done, all the hurt that he's perpetrated, Lord, we know that your Holy Spirit can work even with Dylan, Lord.
Charleston police say they believe the mass shooting was a hate crime, but the church urged the community not to focus on race.
There is only one race. There is the human race.
It's not about race. It's about how people feel and the care that they think about for each other.
In Lexington, Monique Blair, WKYT.
Today, President Obama said the shooting shows the need for what he called a national reckoning on gun violence in America. New tonight, questions have been raised about a gay Floyd County basketball player's claims that he was outed during a game. The Floyd and Fayette County school districts have released a joint statement claiming Outsports.com, quote, inaccurately reported and mischaracterized Dalton Maldonado's claims. School leaders also say that some of the witnesses in the original Outsports article now claim they were misquoted. Maldonado played for Betsy Lane High School. He claimed that players from Lexington's Bryan Station High School harassed him during a game and later chased him.
Follow WKYT online at WKYT.com. Join the conversation on Twitter and become a part of the WKYT Facebook family.
Friends and family say they can't understand why it happened. Police tell us a man was found stabbed to death inside his Bath County home. They have ruled 54-year-old Henry Mead's death a homicide. He lived on the farm where he worked. His boss said he knew something was wrong when Mead didn't show up for work yesterday. He says he made the gruesome discovery at the home on Wyoming Road.
When I got in from work, I went down there, and that's when I found him. It was pretty bad.
So far, police have not made any arrests in the case. They do not believe the attack was random. They say there was no sign of forced entry at the home. A horrific discovery for a child in Metcalfe County. Police say she found her mother dead and her father badly injured from gunshot wounds in their home. Police say that Daniel Tiller shot his wife Jessica Tuesday night, then turned the gun on himself. They say that one of the couple's children later saw what had happened and called 911. Daniel Tiller, the father, died at a hospital last night. Jessica's sister says there was history of abuse in the home.
There are a lot of things that I didn't know because she was afraid to tell it. I want people out there to know that, to try to let somebody know what's going on in the home so that somebody could help you.
Police say they're still trying to figure out what led up to the shooting. Tonight, police believe they've caught the serial bank robber they've called the Sock Hat Bandit. They say Brian Parnell of Dayton, Ohio, admitted robbing 9 banks after being arrested in Kenton County today. Police say he led them on a chase after a robbery at a bank in Independence. They say they arrested Parnell after he crashed near an elementary school. Police accuse Parnell of robbing banks in Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana during the last few months. We're learning more about a crash involving a Lexington police cruiser that injured a suspect and damaged a store. According to our news partners at the Herald Leader, a police report says Officer Justin Burnett failed to put his car completely in park and in a scramble to stop it, hit the gas pedal instead of the brake. That caused the car to hit a suspect he had just arrested and the Family Dollar store on Southland Drive. The suspect was not seriously injured. New tonight, investigators are trying to figure out what caused a fire that damaged a Lexington home. That fire started just after 6 tonight at a mobile home on Hanson Circle near Price Road. Lexington firefighters say a neighbor saw smoke coming from the home and called for help. Firefighters say it didn't take them long to put the fire out, but the home has a lot of damage. The family that lives there was not home at the time, and no one was injured. A center that helps children with special needs has a new home tonight. The Kids Club has moved into a building on Regency Road. It's a prescribed pediatric extended care program, only one of 3 in the state. The facility is a nurse-staffed medical daycare for children who cannot attend a typical daycare. The new building was named after 2 nurses who helped make the Kids Club possible.